You want some claps, is it?
Yes, please.
Is that what you want? You want some claps? I'll give you some claps.
Stunning. Before we do anything, I'm going to have to apologise in advance to listeners. The sound quality on my end may not be so good because I ran out of batteries on my new sound recording equipment, and I have to go back to the old one. So there's probably going to be a lot of room noise in this one, and I'm really sorry.
I'll forgive you this once.
I don't know if the listeners will, though. The other thing I want to bring up, on a really down note, but I think it is important before we start, is that on the Artifexian Patreon, as in the Patreon for the main channel, one of the patrons messaged me and was like, hey, I can't support you anymore. I'm having real bad health issues. And by the sounds of it, it was kind of like, I'm not just like, the cold, like serious health issues. And so I don't want to name this person because that would be unfair. But I just want to give, this person knows who they are. So I just want to give a shout out to that person. Like, get well soon. I hope everything's cool. And you really don't need to message me apologizing to me for not being able to support a thing when you're in that place. Like, no need to be doing that. Just focus on yourself, get well soon, and yeah, I hope everything works out.
Yeah, best of luck.
Yeah. So on, shall we start the show? Shall we do some follow up then?
Let's do some follow up.
Okay, listeners, be prepared for a lot of Edgar talking here. Point number 1, follow up on the usage of weed in Islam. In the last show, I asked Muslim listeners to write in and tell us what the crack is with that, because I was very interested based on my experiences in Morocco. We got loads of feedback on this, but I want to read out in its entirety an email from a Dirgeful0, which is another great username. And Dirgeful writes, hello, Muslim listener here. Weed is indeed forbidden in Islam. It's a form of khamr. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Khamr, which loosely translates to shrouding of the mind. This is directly found in the Quran, 590 for example, which all Muslims, no matter the schism, follow. I giggled when you asked if there was a loophole. I guess so. Some people claim weed makes them perform better and as such cannot be considered khamr for them. I have Muslim friends who say this. Although my interpretation is that it's clearly forbidden, no loopholes. They go on to talk about how culture and society changed that. Like in Turkey, you can buy beer, but you can't smoke weed and things like that. So I found the whole idea of like the shrouding of the mind and how people interpret that as in like, my mind is not shrouded with this weed. What are you talking about? Of course it's okay for me. I thought that was great. And it's just the ingenuity of humans to get around rules. It's brilliant.
Yeah. That sounds like stoners, all right.
Yup. And that in a similar vein, a follow-up for the African-American thing from last show. I asked listeners to define African-American, again, based on my travel to Morocco and kind of having to confront that nomenclature. And again, we got loads of responses from people. I want to read out one from u/Coolmare of Artifexian coat of arms fame. And Coolmare is South African, so just as a heads up. Coolmare writes, the conclusion from all of this perhaps that African isn't really a monolithic identity for us. So contemporary African descendants abroad have a more specific identity to hyphenate onto American, whereas the slaves taken from the New World were stripped of that, kind of like the captain's theory. And the reason we equate African American and black, it's just that it happened to be black Africans that were taken over, and not a diverse set of Africans from all over the continent with different complexions. So I think that like really well summarizes kind of what I was after in the last show. So yeah, thank you to everyone for writing in and helping me out with this. And also, I think it's really class that we have found ourselves in a position in life where we have people from all over the world of many different religions writing into us. I think that's really cool. Just really cool.
Sweet.
It's really brilliant. And I love how that if ever I have a question about anyone's like culture or religion or something, I can kind of like message people now and kind of get information directly from the horse's mouth, which is a really special position to be in. And I'm very, very grateful for that. It's brilliant. Mm-hmm. Now, on the subject of ethnicity, U/Zen10 wrote in and was like, would you think of Putin as being European? And I got thinking about this, and I was like, I guess, but it's not. I'm not entirely clear, so I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. Would you class Putin as a European?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. I haven't thought about it, but Russia is a European country.
Are all Russians Europeans?
Not all Russians, no.
Okay. So is there...
But like the Russian ethnic group, I would say, would be like European, yeah. I mean, Russia, the nation, encompasses a huge range of ethnicities, not all of whom are European, but yeah, white Russians from Western Russia, sure.
Yeah, that's fair. And Putin as well. It's just weird to think of, like, I know that Russia is a European country, but it's weird. I don't know. It's weird to think that, like, Moscow is in the same club as Dublin sometimes. It's just like, I don't know. It's a bit of a non sequitur. But yeah, I just thought that was a kind of an interesting question, and one that kind of gave me pause. I was like, huh, is he? I guess so. He probably is. I mean, he's white. He doesn't look Siberian. Like, he must be European. Anyhow, thought it was interesting.
I mean, there's a lot of historical kind of context to that as well, of whether Russia is a European country. I mean, for a long time, it wasn't really considered European.
I mean, again, I get that it's European, but, like, it doesn't really... Does it play with the rest of the European countries? Like, it isn't involved in any...
It's in the Eurovision.
It's in the Eurovision. Oh my god,
it is.
That's our. Yeah, but so is Australia, man. I mean, we can't be Kazakhstan. We can't be using. We can't be using this as our benchmark.
Okay, but it literally does play with the rest of the European countries.
Yeah, but is it involved in like economic zones and things like that, or trade agreements and things like that? Is it lumped in with the rest?
I would
of the European
guess
countries?
not.
Yeah,
for all those historical reasons.
And Russia is like really openly hostile against Europe, isn't it? I mean, like the whole taking of Crimea, like Ukraine is a European country and it just decides to violate her borders. So
but I don't know how you can like just declare it, at least say Ukraine is European and Russia isn't.
Because it's in the club of European countries, man. Doesn't it fall under one of the various zones in Europe?
What one does it fall under that Russia doesn't fall under?
Hold on. I thought that Russia just didn't fall under any of them. European.
Okay, but what are these organizations you mean?
I'm googling the things. So yeah, like the European Economic Area is one, in which the Ukraine is not. Oh, interesting. Okay, hold on. Oh my god, I'm rethinking everything about Europe. The Ukraine is obviously in the European Union, yeah?
I don't think so.
What? No.
I think it is.
Get out.
No.
It's not in the European Union.
Sure, when would it have gotten in the European Union?
I don't know, sometime prior to now? Holy shit. What the hell is Europe then?
But like Norway isn't in the European Union.
Yeah, but Norway is an EFTA member, which is some other thing with Europe. And similarly, I think that's Croatia is a European member state, but it's applying for EEA agreement. And then Switzerland is also like not really in the European Union. Oh no, it is in the European Union, but it also has a different relation.
Switzerland?
Yeah.
Switzerland's not in the EU.
Oh, sorry, it's an EFTA member state and signatory of the EEA agreement that has not been ratified. Sorry, yeah, it's not in the EU, but it's a member of one of the other groups, but not another one. So I thought Ukraine was involved in one of those various complex relations with the EU, but it's not. It's not at all. That's crazy, man. Literally did not know that. Today I learned.
Hold on. 1 second.
Okay. Edgar learns about Europe.
It's in UEFA, though. Both Russia and Ukraine are in UEFA.
I'm not entirely comfortable you making the definition of Europe being the football association.
But it's a European organization.
I guess, but I feel more comfortable saying that Russia is in Europe if it fell under the EU, the EFTA, or the EEA, as opposed to UEFA. well, you're not wrong, but it's just like, I don't know. So but hang on, but like aside from the football thing, it seems to me if I was an alien who landed on Earth and read up about the various European zones, Russia falls into none of them. Ergo, Russia is not European.
What is it then?
I don't know. I have no idea. Could it not just be Russia? Like, could it not just be its own thing?
I suppose, but
Just because it borders Europe doesn't mean it has to be in Europe, surely.
I mean, like historically, it's. I mean, if we go back to like hundreds of years ago, it was very much in the old world Christian kind of worldview of things. You know, it's okay. Yeah, no, it's an Orthodox country, not Catholic or Protestant like a lot of Europe is, but it was Christian. It was a colonizing nation. It was it was warring on equal terms with like Sweden and Poland and Germany and stuff. And it was I would suspect it was less other than like in North African states.
Yeah.
Or than the Ottoman Empire.
I was just about to say Turkey, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this historic precedent for it being considered European, I think is the summary of that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would say is it's definitely European. Look at the head of it.
I mean, I can't argue with that logic, man. Moving on to our next point, yeah?
Sure.
So, Mega Kissin, /Mega Kissin writes in, and they want to know about how to do future Earth scenarios. Specifically, in their words, what's your advice for creating socially plausible future settings? How do you think this setting could come about from today's world? And would you be interested in creating a future Earth /solar system setting? Thanks very much for the good podcast. #Team Licorice. Now, just to have a little bit of poke fun at Mega Kissin here, all meant in good humor. I love how it's like, thanks very much for the good podcast. Not great podcast, just good. And then #Team Licorice. So, Mega Kissin give it, and Mega Kissin take it away. But yeah, future Earth, right? I have an opinion of this, but I'd like to pass it on to you. Any ideas for future Earth settings?
Off the top of my head, I would say base your changes in something fairly specific. So base it in a social theory, or base it in an economic idea, and then work out how that would apply. Or like apply that and work out how it would change things. Yeah, I guess that's it. Just kind of do a bit of work for it. Choose an idea, or multiple ideas, and explore how they interact. But just don't. I would say, unless you're going to go for something like extremely far future, don't just make something up whole cloth. Build on what exists, but use a framework to build on it.
My point is almost identical. I think you're dead right. Like, don't make up stuff. You're gonna have to like build on what we have.
Yeah.
I think if your scenario was one that could plausibly happen, you will definitely find historic records of it nearly happening. So, for example, a lot of people are like, I'd love to make like a World War III type scenario. Where the Earth had a third world war, and what would that look like? If that's something you're interested in, I would definitely go back and look at all the ways in which World War III could have happened, and maybe use that as inspiration and then run with it. Because like during the missile crisis, the Cuban Missile Crisis, like literally World War III could have happened. Like,
yeah,
it literally could, and find out the reasons why it didn't happen and then subvert them. And I think you can do that with just about everything. Like if you were like, what happens if there was I don't know, if the United States never happened? You can guarantee you can go back, read up the history books, and find all the ways in which the United States just like nearly did not happen, and then work from there. So essentially, TLDR, read up an awful lot of history in order to create plausible futures, I think.
That makes sense.
Cool. All right. That was a good question. Thank you, Mega Kissin.
Sorry, I was going to add something to that. Oh yeah, it's not actually all that relevant, but I remember when I was a teenager, I got this anthology of science fiction from the library.
Ooh.
And it had some great stuff, and it had some Ray Bradbury, it had some cyberpunk, it had some like it had some Terry Pratchett. It had like kind of a sort of a humorous science fiction short kind of cyberpunky story by Terry Pratchett. But one of the
hold on, Ray Bradbury, is he Martian Chronicles or is he the Fahrenheit 411 guy?
451. I can't remember who wrote Fahrenheit.
Hold on.
Racia.
You're definitely gonna win.
Yes, it is Ray Bradbury, but I think he's the Martian Chronicles as well.
Yeah, I think so. The Martian Chronicles, man, some of the stories in that are legitimately terrifying.
Class.
Legitimately. Like, I found it like extremely hard to listen to the audiobook of it. Which is not something that usually happens to me. Listening to the audio causing fear, not really a thing, but it was great. Anyhow, so continue. Anthology of science fiction. It had Pratchett and Bradbury in it.
And I can't remember whose story it was, but there was one story which was set fairly far in the future, and like, kind of late 21st century, and things were very, very different at that stage, and like the European and like American world was no longer the dominant cultural force, and the world had recently recovered from World War V, which had been fought between Indonesia and Brazil.
Wow.
And I just thought,
was this
what a great choice, like.
Was this a good wait, no, it's an anthology, so it's just kind of a listing of all these things. It didn't actually go through the stories, did it?
No, it did. It was like an anthology of stories. It was a collection of stories.
Was it a good story? Did it make sense, or was it just like satirical nonsense?
As I remember, it was quite good. I think it was one of the quite funny ones, but it was quite good as well, I think. And what you said about look at history. Apparently, that's something that Margaret Atwood has said about *Handmaid's Tale*, is that everything that happens in *Handmaid's Tale* has pretty much happened at some point somewhere in history.
Oh, very good. Yeah. That gives a good sense of realism to your future. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Definitely. Man, *Handmaid's Tale*. It's just so good.
I need to watch it. Yeah, I need to watch it.
It's so very good. But you've read the book, like, so.
Yeah.
You've got what's happening. Oh no, you don't, because the second season differs from the book completely. So.
It's the second season is new stuff. Yeah, I think the book follows the first season follows the book roughly.
Yeah, you should watch it. It is amazing. I have more points to make on this that I forgot to make a second ago.
Grand.
I plugged this before, but a great place to find the sort of like places where history could have been different is Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, because he's constantly saying things like, imagine if Kennedy didn't do this, then we would have had World War III. Like, he literally gives you the divergent points and highlights them. So again, if you're interested, I would strongly urge you checking out that podcast. The other thing on World War III, it just popped into my head. Question, Bill. Do you think there is going to be a World War III? Because I was of the opinion, I had one opinion, and recently I've had my mind change, and I'm fairly staunchly of the other opinion.
I don't know.
And to be clear though, World War III it doesn't mean like, will there be future wars? It means like, will there be one like cataclysmic, all-out, total war? Yeah? Like, there will always be war, but will there be one huge and probably nuclear war?
Do you mean like necessarily an apocalyptic one?
I mean, would you class World War II as being apocalyptic?
No.
Okay, not necessarily apocalyptic, but of or larger than World War II. Like, because we have to differentiate here, because otherwise, if you go, well, is there a World War III? You could easily be like, the war in Afghanistan was a huge war, and it was bloody, and it lasted for long, and that happened after World War II. But do you get, there's a difference between a World War III and just like a local proxy war, for example, where the powers might be involved, but it's not a direct all-out world war. Yeah.
Getcha.
Okay. Cool. So with that definition, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, probably. Eventually, like.
I think no, and I've become pretty resolute in that no.
Okay.
I think that people genuinely realize we have too much power to just destroy everything, that it becomes functionally useless to use that power. And also, I think there are cheaper, less devastating, or more devastating, less kind of overtly horrific ways of waging war in the modern world. So I think you're more likely to get like cyber war in the future than you are to get someone dropping a huge bomb. So I don't think we will have I really don't think we're going to have a nuclear war in the future. I think we will destroy a country. We will destroy a country's digital infrastructure before we drop a bomb on it.
Yeah, before, but
Right, but if the country's
not exclusively.
right, but if the country's infrastructure is totally destroyed, like it's say its economy is crippled, it's completely brought to its knees. Why drop a bomb? Other than you have say one rogue dictator, maybe, who's just all like, nah, screw it. I'm a sociopath. I'm a psychopath. I'm just going to drop the thing. But it makes no sense to drop it. I don't think.
You drop it on someone else if they have interfered with your infrastructure.
Yeah, I would say that you would interfere back. I don't know. I just think it's become too devastating to use nuclear war, not proper nukes, like not tactical nuclear weapons. Because the impression I get is that they are much smaller and not as devastating. But I just think, yeah, it's become so advanced that everyone's kind of like, we really can't drop these things, and we really can't conduct war like the end of World War II. It's bad for everyone, and I think everyone acknowledges that. So that is my opinion. I used to be on World War III will definitely happen. The end is coming. We're going to drop all the nukes, and now I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think viruses are a much more effective way of conducting war.
Computer ones,
or I mean, yeah, no, computer ones. Because again, if you launch a digital attack, you can just be all like, I didn't do anything. What are you talking about? Where's your proof? There is no proof. Whereas if you like send planes with like biological weapons, like a real virus, people are going to be like, it's your planes dropping the thing. Like there's more of a solid link between you and the hideous acts. Whereas digitally, that link is somewhat obscured, I think. We'll pass it on to listeners, see what the listeners think. Are you with Bill or are you with me? Yeah. we got to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
Final thing of follow-up. I was you/Coolmare, second appearance on the show. So it's all coming up Coolmare today. Noticed that in the last episode, we were on romance in the last show, and I had mentioned something like, is there interplanetary travel going on? And you gave a real fudgy answer. And then you/Kumar was like, well, hang on now, you mentioned B'nai traders on romance, and we know the B'nai from Fasat. Is that it?
They're on Handwavia.
They're on Handwavia. So there is interplanetary things going on here. So are you able to elaborate more on this? How is the interplanetary thing going on? How's the interplanetary travel happening? Have you worked it out? That sort of jazz. Elaborate.
Nope.
No, but Bill, it's Handwavia. You should be able to elaborate.
I haven't worked out all of the details, and okay. Will I throw you a little bone?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. I didn't exactly tell you a lie earlier, but I did sort of avoid the question. Mm-hmm. When you said, "Are the B'nai on Fasath?" They actually are in Fasath as well, and I said that before. Remember when we did the anthropology, or like the creation myth of Fasath?
No. Sorry.
So I'm going to read, if I can... Where's it gone?
Uh-oh.
Oh, here we go. Fasath, the origin myth. Here we go. So the god Vasa came to the planet thousands of years ago when the stars were still young. And it's all about the different great migrations. Mm-hmm. Then I say near the end of it, The nomadic Bini too roam the wastes, traders and wanderers who, alone of all the humanity in Fasath, are not of Vasa and have no homeland here.
Oh, yes, I do remember this.
Yeah, I remember you asking me about that. And I'd already mentioned the Bini in Handwavia before that, and I was waiting to see would anyone pick up on it. And then I revisited it in Handwavia, and no one picked up on it until last month when I put them in Romance as well.
Oh, so are the Beni the only people in this system that are capable of interplanetary travel?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet. Okay. Do the Beni does interplanetary travel happen in Handwavia via spaceships or via things like portals?
I'm leaning more towards. For the Beni, I'm leaning more towards portals.
Okay, that's kind of fitting, man. I was half thinking when this interplanetary travel was brought up, I was kind of like, spaceships would ruin this because it'd be really weird to have like spaceships and then the sky pirates. Like that would be a weird sort of aesthetic. But the portals work.
And war elephants.
And war elephants, exactly. Although you could do a Firefly type thing where you have like spaceships and horses, which worked really well. But overall, I think portals is the way to go. Okay, so we don't know yet if other people can conduct interplanetary travel, portals over spaceships. But
how do you mean people?
Sorry, humanity. What's the word you use? Non-godlike creatures. Are the Beni not people? Oh Jesus!
No. The Beni are definitely people. The Beni are definitely people.
Okay. Cool. Hoping to see them crop up in the future.
Oh, they will.
Oh, they will. Are they going to crop up today? Because I didn't read your prose before we started. Control F Beni.
Will we find out?
Well, I can tell you right now, there is no.
Well,
Beni.
Way to ruin a segue.
It's like, no, we're doing Shit Flag Corner next. There's no segue. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, of course. Okay.
Shall we do some Shit Flag Corner?
Well, it was an opportunity was there to improvise, but no. Okay, yeah, let's do Flag Corner.
Oh, excellent. Okay. All right. Oh my God, so much Edgar talking. I'm really, really sorry about this. We have 2 flags to discuss today. They come via u/Mega Kissing, also a second mention on the show, tied with Cool Mirror for shoutouts, and u/Vulcan Trekkie. u/Mega Kissing sent us Daejong from South Korea, and Vulcan Trekkie 45 sent us Taunton from Massachusetts in America. So let's start, if it's okay with you, Bill, let's start with Daejong in South Korea. So open up the link there. Because seeing as I've been talking forever, do you want to take the description of what's going on here?
So this is a white flag, 3x5 maybe?
Yeah, about that. 3x5, yeah.
3x5. And written in sort of a child's approximation of Comic Sans. In large letters, it says "it's" and then below it, Tejan. In black. Now, we're not done yet.
No.
Because this is already pretty bad, but it gets better. The apostrophe in "it's" is in red, and the inside the D in Tejan is coloured in also red. The A is coloured in orange. The tittle over the J is large and green.
Wait, it's called a tittle?
Yeah.
So the dots over letters are called tittles?
The dot over an I or a J.
Wow. Yeah. Today I learned, Jesus, I found out what the European Union is, and I learned what the word tittle. This has been a great day all around, Bill.
The inside the E, the second E is blue, and inside the O is orange again. So it looks kind of like the title card from a children's cartoon from the 90s.
It does a bit, doesn't it? Do you know what I think the most egregious thing is about it?
The fact that it's text.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, but let's assume that you had to do text in this. Like, let's say it's part of the brief. Like, there must be text, right? And it's got to say it's Daejeon. Like, of those words, Daejeon's the important one, is it not? And then surely you would then make Daejeon really big on your flag so you can like see it. But what they've done is they've made it's huge and Daejeon as like a subtitle. So the flag reads it's Daejeon, which is ridiculous. Like, well, like it's so silly. It's completely opposite what it should be.
Yeah, and like, why is it in Latin script and not in Hangul? Like, why is it not like written in Korean?
Oh my God! Now I really want to go into Photoshop and write it in Hangul and see what it look really cool.
Do.
Well, I'm not going to do it now. It'll take like 20 minutes. But like, I think you might actually end up with a really cool flag if you just had "It's Daejeon" written in Hangul, or even just Daejeon. I think it would be. Yeah, it would look really cool, I think. Anyhow, this is utterly atrocious. And the thing that makes it really bad is that if you look at the seal right next to it on the Wikipedia page, the seal is actually kind of cool. Like, it's reminiscent of the Japanese prefecture flags. They could have just put that seal on the Y flag and boom, great flag.
Yeah, I when I opened up Wikipedia, I thought that was the flag at first. Like, my eye got drawn to the seal.
Yeah.
I was like, why is this in shit flag corner? This is fine.
And then you go to the one left and you're like, oh, now we know why it's in chip flag corner. The seal, for anyone who can't open up the links in the show notes, the seal is 5 circles, each touching each other to form a kind of shamrocky looking thing. And then from the middle of the shamrocky looking thing, there are rays of white coming out, so they kind of like bisect each of the circles. Is the best description I can give, and it's really cool. It's really slick. It's really modern, and it would make a great flag, absolutely marvelous flag. But nope, they decided to do it's Daejeon. So yeah, should we move on to Taunton, Massachusetts?
Let's. You can describe this one.
Okay, now this is I'm actually going to need your help here because I actually don't know what the flag in the canton is. But before that, the flag.
Edgar, I'm disappointed.
Well, I mean, it's some sort of like it's something
we'll go through it. We'll go through it.
Okay, let's go through it. Right. Okay, so we have a flag. It is maybe 3 to 5 again, possibly.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, something like that. It is red with a canton in the top left that has a flag in it. The flag looks, I'm so sorry, Bill, you're going to hate me for this. It looks like the United Kingdom flag, except minus the red X, if that makes sense. And then below that, the words liberty and union are written, and they're all in caps lock, so the flag is shouting at you, and you have liberty is large and is small, and union. So to be clear, that means like as in smaller text size. All caps lock, big text liberty, small text and big text union. And from a distance, at least on a computer screen, it seems like the kerning, is the correct word? The spacing of the letters seems larger on liberty than it does for everything else, which just makes it look a little bit wonky. But I think that might...
I see what you mean.
I think that might be a computer thing, because when you open it up and you go to a big size, it seems okay. So it could just be a Wikipedia rendering thing. Another good reason why you shouldn't have text on your flag. Maybe it won't render very well. So before I... so it's not good, obviously. It's not great at all. But before I go on to what I think is the amazing thing, and that's its seal, I want to have you explain to me what the top left flag is. What is the canton?
Right. So you're most of the way there. What did you say it looks like?
The UK flag minus the red X. So
okay.
we have
makes...
Yeah, so we have I know. We have the Scottish Saltaire, which is the blue and white, the blue with the white X, yeah?
Yeah.
And then
white Saltaire, yeah.
And then we have the England flag is the red cross and the white background.
St. George's Cross, yeah.
Okay, so all we're missing then is Northern Ireland. So the flag of Northern Ireland must be the red X.
No, Ireland.
The flag of Ireland is the red X.
Okay, So the red salt air is St. Patrick's salt air, and that's used in the Union Jack to represent Ireland. Because they didn't change the flag in the 20s. The flag has been the same since 1800. They didn't change it when the Free State was founded.
Why didn't they change it?
Because they still had a part of the island. So they still, like, they can justify it by saying we have a bit of Ireland.
Man.
So we still have St. Patrick's salt air.
Do you think that, would you estimate that maybe a quarter of Ireland is the north? Like Northern Ireland takes up maybe a quarter of the entire island?
I'd say less.
Okay, significantly less?
Maybe a fifth.
Okay. All right, well, okay, let's call that a rounding error. Let's call it a quarter, right? Why don't they just drop 3 of the prongs of the salt air?
leave the one in the top right of the flag.
The top left. Come on, Bill, because then it looks like a canton within the flag. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, leave it in the top right, because that looks like it's the... Let me finish, man. It looks like it's in the northeast, which is where the Northern Ireland is on the island of Ireland.
No, Bill, I'm sorry. You're nearly there, but I have to disagree. Surely, from an English person's perspective, you'd want to have it in the top left, because, like, say, from London, for example, Northern Ireland lies northwest. And it works as a canton, so it looks like a flag within a flag.
I don't know about that now, man.
I think it's pretty solid reasoning, to be fair. But anyway, so that means... Okay, so hold on now. So that means that flag is the flag of... Basically the flag of just England and Scotland then, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a name on the flag of just England and Scotland?
It's the flag of the United Kingdom.
Oh, Jesus. See, I need to watch the CGP Grey video again. So the United Kingdom does not include Wales. But it does include Wales.
It does include Wales, but Wales isn't represented on the flag.
It just
ever.
Sucks to be
because it didn't have a legal existence until relatively recently. Wales was part of the Kingdom of England for so long. It didn't have any independent legal existence.
Oh my god. Okay, so the Welsh flag is, what is it? It's white on top, green on bottom, and a red dragon?
Yeah.
Okay, so the top left-hand corner has a single red diagonal to represent Northern Ireland. I think then, where would you put the dragon? Where would the dragon go in a genuine sort of United or Great Britain flag? I don't know. Anyway. So if this flag of Taunton, so it has the flag of the United Kingdom. Yeah, you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah. So why would Taunton, Massachusetts have a flag of just the United Kingdom?
Well, see, it's okay. It's the United Kingdom flag between 1707 and 1800.
Which is when... Is this when Massachusetts happened? I don't know the dates.
Possibly.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know why they have that, but that's what that flag is. It's the UK flag between the Act of Union with Scotland, which created the United Kingdom, and the Act of Union with Ireland, which incorporated Ireland and made it the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland.
Okay, I want to read up on this town to find out why they have specifically that flag. It's got to be that was the flag in use at the time when this flag was originally made. But then, I mean, that's probably it. Anyhow. The flag is terrible, but it's the polar opposite of the South Korean flag, the Daejeon flag, in that its seal, which is to the right there, Bill, on the Wikipedia page, is a nightmare. And I need to bring this up. For the only reason that it's on the seal.
Oh dear!
It's a circular seal, right? And we don't even need to get into all the terribleness that's in the middle. I love that surrounding the circular sphere, you have surrounding the circular seal, you have Taunton, and then you have a town, 1639, period, a city, 1864. I absolutely adore that. It's just so irrelevant. And I get it.
I genuinely like that.
No, I think it's terrible, man. It's like first butchers incorporated in 1924. It's just like, no, just shut up. Like, you don't need all this nonsense. I laughed so hard when I saw that this morning. I was like, oh my god, that's brilliant. And I didn't even pay any attention to like, what is it? The house with the house that looks like it has a witch's hat with the fire coming out of it, and the weird mountains that look also like they're like the ghostly plumes coming out of it. Didn't even get into all that.
No, like, dude, that's not mountains.
What are they?
There's some racist stuff going on here.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't look at it then. And my eyes were just drawn to a town 1639.
Yeah. There's some like horrible white savior stuff going on in the center, in the shield in the center of the crest.
In light of that, man, I think
in the center of the seal.
In light of that, man, I think the flag is absolutely glorious, and Taunton, Massachusetts should never ever consider changing their flag because someone might be like, "Hey, let's go and put a seal on this." All right, same as usual, man. You give us a bit of a rundown, and then we'll get into your 20 minutes worth of reading.
It's okay. Look, I actually cut 100 words out of it just before recording. So
Jesus, yeah, they're getting. I have no problem with the length, and I'm sure we'd hear from Artifexian if it was a problem. So yeah, go for it, man.
Okay, so the rundown is we are in romance again.
We are in romance again. Excellent.
And this is another letter. From one character to a different character, and you'll figure it out what's going on as I read it.
And for those who maybe didn't catch the last show, Romance is a planet in the Handwavia system of planets, and it's in your planetary romance sort of setting. And what we know of it is that there is it has flying sky ships, like sky galleons. Yeah?
Not galleons.
Or whatever, the man o' wars, whatever the hell those ships are called. Like, not flying ships, but flying, like, sea vessels. Yeah?
They're not like sea vessels.
I thought we established they were like sea vessels. What are you talking about?
No, we didn't.
What? They're... Oh, you said something like they are more... Because I was like, are they like... planes or ships? And you were like, they're more like ships. Are they like blimps?
I guess they would be closer to that than to sailing vessels, yeah. But like, they are aircraft.
Oh, jeez! I had in my head that they were actual literally. When I say sky pirates, I mean like pirates in the sky on flying galleons.
No,
I totally got the wrong end of the stick then over the past like 2 months. Okay, I'm really sorry. That summary didn't help anyone at all. So, do you just want to crack into your reading?
My dear, I write to you with grave news. I was not given the gift of diplomacy that you possess, nor the wiles to shield you from the truth, nor yet the wisdom to see in this calamity the traces of a later triumph for us. And so I will tell you plain, for I know no other way. The Sanan was taken as a prize, and our sacred cargo is no longer in the possession of our kin. Not 2 days after I left you, our vessel was intercepted by a craft belonging to the Tamar Company. We led them on for the best part of a day, nearly evading them in the dawn, but at last we were forced to strike. A complement of those mercenary scum came aboard our vessel. Disdaining what they found, a mere child was left in command of the craft and of our lives. We were abandoned upon an outcropping as the child set off to return with the vessel across the belt. What they did not know is that we dumped most of our good cargo in the night, along with our charts and navigational tools. I doubt the child made his journey easily. The relic, of course, was hidden deep in the fabric of the Sanan, and even had we been able to cast it overboard, I doubt we should have done so for fear of its permanent loss or destruction. And now the treasure of our people is in the hands of those Spire's scum, and I fear what may befall it. Should the privateers of the companies discover it, they are as like to destroy it as sell it for display in one of their cities. Should they break apart the craft, or if that craft should be used in battle, it will likely be destroyed without them ever knowing it was there. Our greatest hope is that the Sinan enter service under the Tamar flag, and we shall be able to reclaim the vessel, and with it the treasure we have all worked so hard to protect. We spent one night upon that rock, not ranging far for fear of the local creatures. Athia and Raylan quarrelled terribly in the morning, greatly depressing our morale. Knowing that we were not likely to see any friendly vessels in such deep country, and not daring to light a signal in the night, we resolved to march east, despite the risks, to reach the Abga, which we reckoned was 2 days' travel. The march was difficult, both on our souls and our bodies. Raylan kept a poor pace and slowed the entire crew. The land was thick and difficult to navigate, though we were fortunate to not encounter any hostile beasts, armed as we were with nothing more than sticks and our ship knives. Our first day we made poor distance, and by the third morning the meagre rations left to us by the cursed child who had carried off our Sinan had run out, as the cruel fiend surely intended. That night we spent shivering and hungering beneath a thorny bush. I didn't sleep a moment, such was the fear of discovery by a bear or a tribe of apes, and concern we would not reach the river. The following day we made poorer pace still, but in the early afternoon found a grove of fruit trees, not yet fully ripe, but certainly edible for our poor guts. Fenya stunned a small creature that entered the grove with a well-thrown rock, a most impressive throw, and stirring to our hopes. That night we risked a small fire pit, and cooked the animal, and even the tiny morsel of meat we each received restored much vigour to our muscles and our hearts. And a good omen it proved to be. Scaling a tree late the next morning, Raylan was sure he could see the course of the great river ahead of us. Buoyed by this discovery, we made great pace for the remainder of the day, and camped late that night atop a hill overlooking the banks of the great Abga, hungry once more, but with the hope of salvation at last. I fished for our breakfast, and was returning with my catch when I heard a commotion downriver. Athia and Fenya shouting in great excitement. I hurried to them at once to see what they had discovered. It was a cargo box, none other than one from our own vessel that had been cast overboard. It must have landed in the Abga when we ejected in our chase, and been carried along before getting caught in a tangle of trees at the river's shore. We set to work immediately, dismantling the container and constructing from it a raft to take us downriver. The panels of the box, lashed to wood we cut down from the surrounding trees, floated most stably upon the languid waters, and provided enough space for us four to travel. In this way we made our progress downriver, knowing we would eventually come upon a friendly settlement, or perhaps follow the river's course to Atien. Well, we were wrong, for a few days' travel downriver. Forgive me, I had begun to lose track of the days after so many days of hardship. We were picked up by an Earthan river vessel. A most curious sight, but the captain took us aboard, and despite eyeing us with great suspicion, he allowed us to be fed, and granted us the use of his guest cabin. It is here that I write this letter from now. And now, my dear, I must finish with yet more grave news. I won't be returning as soon as I had hoped. Promises are sacred to me, as you know, and it pains me terribly to fail you in this time. But the greater pain is to know our sacred treasure is in the possession of those spire mercenaries, and to know the failure of my duty. A failure shared, yes, but not diminished by that sharing. In Atien, I will find our people there, and thence travel to Musfir, to Lansk, to Otvev, wherever the Sinan has been, until I can recover the relic. Have faith, my dear, for now our faith and our will may be all that remain to us. Vistan.
Cool. Okay. My cat freaked the shit out while you're reading that. So I missed a great deal of that. Apologies. Would you be able to give me a condensed summary of things you had said, because I lost you in the middle there, trying to see.
What's the last thing you got?
So we have we have a ship
Yep.
called the Senan. Actually, no. Let me rephrase it, because this might actually go in the show. So if I understand things correctly, now we have the ship called Senan.
Yep.
It was taken as prize by a different company. Yeah.
The Tamar Company.
Right. Within the Shanann is some sort of relic, some sort of thing.
Yeah.
And this chap Vistan is searching for what is in the ship, and his search has led him down to the surface of the planet, it seems. And he has traveled afar and met with these, what they call the Irthan River Festival, and that's where he is now, and he has yet to find the relic.
Right. So that's roughly it. Yeah.
Cool.
So he was on the Senan, and then the Senan was taken by privateers from the Tamar Company, and the crew of the Senan were abandoned in the wilderness.
The mere child was left. When you say a mere child, is that like a derogatory term, as in like the person who took my ship?
a young officer.
Right. Okay. And explain to me again what the belt is, because that came up last month. I forget.
So the belt is like a mountain range.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Okay. So they've been abandoned on land, and they need to make their way. They need to find this ship.
Yeah.
Cool.
Specifically, the mere child is Yarta Yartlen, probationary officer, 2nd class of the Tamar Company fleet.
Oh, from last month.
Yes.
Oh, I thought the Tamar Company sounded familiar. Okay, so, oh Jesus, I need so many more summaries here. So last month, Yarta Yarlen was sent to take over a ship, and he did so. Oh yeah, and where did he bring it? He brought it to, we know
the Usin Province Depot.
Yes, so we know where the ship is, but your man Vistan does not.
Yes. So this is the same story or the same event as was recounted last month, but from the other side.
Cool. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. Can you tell us something about these relics? What are they?
No, I can't.
Okay, we shall not speak of the MacGuffin.
Yeah. So when the ship was taken, the ship that Yar took last episode, there was something hidden within the ship that they did not find. That the smugglers had hidden something else there, something of great importance to them. Oh. And so Vistan is writing back to whoever and saying, this has been lost. This is what happened when the ship was taken. And he recounts the trials that they went through before they reached relative safety. And then he says, I'm going to go and find the ship and recover the relic for our people.
Cool. Very cool. Can you tell us something about the Irthan people? I'm assuming they're the Irthan people because they have an Irthan river vessel.
Yeah, it's like I guess it's like a caste or an ethnicity or something. They're a group of people, and they sail and they travel on rivers and things. And I guess they're a bit suspicious of those who use the sky.
Oh, interesting.
They don't see eye to eye, traveling in different media, traveling in different elements.
Oh, but they took in your man. They took in Vistan.
Yeah, they rescued the captain rescued the crew of the Senan from their raft aboard the river Abga. Cool, very cool.
And then, can you tell us something about the list of places that you mentioned below? So, Mersphere, we've heard before, haven't we?
Yes, Mersphere is where Yarta Yarthlin is from.
Okay, but I don't think we've heard of Lansk and Otviev.
Lansk and Utvev.
Otviv. That's very Russian. Otviv. Can you tell us anything about Lansk and Otviev?
They're other cities that will be broadly from the same culture as Mirsphere. And these are what Vistan is referring to when he refers to Spire. They're the three cities. They're built with like very tall towers.
Okay.
And that's what the Spire is referring to. It's kind of like a sort of colloquial, maybe slightly derogatory term for people from that culture.
Oh, so they're called like spires, as in those damn spires.
Yeah, possibly. Or certainly, it's certainly used as an adjective.
Oh, up here. Oh no, above you have here spire scum. So yeah, okay, that's pretty cool actually. Can you imagine? You know Dublin. You obviously know Dublin. The capital of Ireland, folks, is Dublin, and its primary landmark is what? What?
I've passed through it.
You've passed through it a couple of times. Its sort of primary landmark is, at least in modern times, is a giant spire that sits on the kind of the main street of the town. It'd be really fun if people from rural Ireland referred to people who live in Dublin as like spires or spire scum. That'd be really weird. What's your? I realize nothing to do with world building. What's your opinion on the spire? Have you got thoughts?
Not really.
Okay, so again, for people who are not from Ireland, when this was constructed, like I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, something like that.
Oh, more than that, about 15.
Do you think so? Okay, about 15. It was hugely divisive. Like people were kind of loads of people liked it, and loads of people were just kind of like it's bland, modern nonsense because it's essentially just a giant metal spike. That's all it is. And there's a light on top, and like there's a little bit of design closer to the ground. There's like sort of effects in the metal, but it's very, very minimal. It's essentially just a big giant spike. And I always loved it. I thought it was absolutely genius. Because you could substitute the L for Dublin with just the spike of the spire. So in terms of marketing and branding the city, for tourist purposes, I was like, it is genius. Congrats, whoever came up with that. But then, yeah, like I said, loads of people were kind of like, it's a load of crap. Like, and how dare we put this next to like statues of sort of our nation's founding figures, so to speak. So it's an interesting debate. It's kind of weird that you don't have an opinion because most people do. Most people are kind of like, I hate it, I love it. So yeah.
I mean, it's big and it's shiny. I guess it's kind of cool. I don't really think that much about it.
Yeah, and to be fair, I say we probably would think about more. We would think about it more if it was up for tenure, so to speak. Like if it was a thing that was going to be constructed, I'm sure there'd be a big national debate on it. But yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I like it. So do you intend on following this story more? As in,
I might do, yeah.
Are you going to hop around back next month, or do you think you might just continue on this saga, this romance saga?
I haven't decided. I actually started a totally unrelated thing that was slightly Halloweeny. Because
oh, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Will this be released by Halloween, do you reckon?
After Halloween. I won't get to editing
Halloween
until I come back from the States, so.
Oh right, so yeah, it'll be like a week or so into November.
It could be, yeah, unless something.
Well, I'm glad I didn't do the Halloweeny thing then, because then the spooky thing would have passed. But maybe by the time you're listening to this, I'll have written it and released it anyway.
Maybe who knows? Do you have any notions of doing a Christmassy thing?
I haven't.
Would you ever consider doing a bit of Christmassy world building for our Christmas episode? Because although we do talk about Star Wars in these Christmassy episodes, there is totally room to have a little bit of world building before we talk Star Wars, and it will definitely come out on Christmas Day because we try and do that every year.
Well, is there even going to be Star Wars this year?
There's always a Star Wars, Bill. Surely there is. Do we not have? What's the last Star Wars that came out? It was It was
Oh, it will be out. Yeah, it's gonna be released on December 19th. Okay.
yeah, the third one, the finishing of the trilogy.
But I hadn't seen any, because I was assuming it would be, but I hadn't seen any promotion or anything for it, or
Oh
any. I hadn't
yeah,
heard it mentioned, so I wasn't sure.
nor have I. Yeah, that's really.
There's no. Oh no! Wait, no, I can't. Hold on a second.
Oh no, can you not make it?
Oh no, I no, I can't count.
You can't count.
Initial release December 19th, 2019.
Oh, so is there no Christmas Star Wars this year? Is there no standalone?
Uh, let's find out. December 2018. I don't remember anything being announced. Every announced, and is there a Star Wars movie coming out December 18? It was meant to come out in May, and Solo came out earlier this year, so I don't think there is one coming out in December.
Oh, that means we have no Star Wars Christmas special. In that
But
case,
I thought you said you were done with Star Wars in the last Christmas special.
yeah, no, yeah, but done as in like I care, as in done as in like I expect these things to be great works of art. I'm just kind of like they are fun entertainment. Can I put in a request for a thing? I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before. Could we get a map
For
romance? Like
romance.
It would be nice to see where these various cities lay out and where the Belf is, because it's particularly when the story comes out once a month, it's hard to keep in mind what's going on. Whereas if you have a nice map to link to, you can kind of like, oh, I see Yarte Yarlin is there and Vistan is here, and then we know what's going on.
Possibly, yeah.
I think that would really help. Consider it, yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Anything to add that I did not add?
No, I don't think so. I think that's the whole thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's
I like it.
thing.
Looking forward to the ongoing story, yeah?
Sure.
Awesome. All right, shall we do a bit of Edgar world building?
Let's do a bit of Edgar building.
Okay, so as usual, I made a video. That video came out last night. It was last night at the time of this recording, so that's the 28th of October, 2018. It was entitled Ocean Currents, Terrestrial Water World and Tidally Locked Planets. And it was me giving a tutorial on how to construct ocean currents on the various types of terrestrial worlds. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, somewhat surprising, I have very, very little to talk about. Like, usually people are kind of like, you made a mistake here, or you didn't fully talk about this thing. But this has pretty much just been, it's been kind of radio silence. Like, a couple of people brought up a few things, but it's the majority just kind of like, class, cool.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make for great podcast content, but it really inflates my ego, which I'm happy about. But so I have two things, and then I have a complaint.
Good morning,
Whoa.
Do you need to watch the video, man?
No, I watched it. I was opening it so I'd have the YouTube comments ready, and then I dropped something on the table. That's what the clatter was.
Oh, okay. So I have two things and a complaint to bring up. A few people brought up the idea of like how do ocean currents influence your coastlines, and I think it's worth bringing up that if you look at Earth, it all seems to like fit too well. Like it's kind of like, like America is the perfect shape for the gyre that is that borders its eastern border, for example. Everything, it works really well, like as if it was designed, some might say, and that's because obviously everything interacts. So what I think is a really cool idea is to map out these ocean currents, and then if some of the gyres you create seem not very gyre-y and kind of boxy or an odd sort of shape, use them to then like edit the land masses to like shape them with the oceans, if you know what I mean. So you get these like nice curving features that follow the sort of ocean currents, and it looks like then that your land masses have been in part forged by the currents, as opposed to you had a map and you drew some lines around the land masses. Does that make sense?
Kinda, yeah.
Kinda? I mean,
like I don't understand the initial thing about like that they look too neat. Like, of course they're going to look neat because the course of the current has to follow where the water is. It can't go through land, so of course they're going to fit together.
Rather that like you don't have like a a boxy continent. Like you don't have square landmass. They're all they're all carved by the sea. Whereas on a fantasy map, you could easily have a situation where you come up with a thing and you have a real, like, I don't know, boxy looking landmass. And it's really easy then to just, draw your currents around that and everything's fine. But what I advocate for is you pause for a second and be all like, well, hang on now. Surely this circular gyre system would then carve sweeping arcs into your landmasses and making them less boxy and more curved, making it look like everything fits really, really nicely. That make sense?
Yeah. I guess. I mean, just like if you start off with a bad map, it's going to look bad the more stuff you add to it.
Yeah, or to frame it another way, you can use the currents to edit a bad map and it will become slowly better.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a more positive spin. That's true.
So that's one. The other one, again, a couple of people brought up was why didn't you talk about a thing called the thermohaline circulation or the global ocean conveyor belt? Have you heard about this at all?
I'm not sure. It vaguely the words you're saying sound familiar.
So the ocean is all the oceans on the planet are connected, right? And they're connected by this kind of giant loop, a sort of like basically a current that kind of goes to the deep sea and up and down, and it connects.
Sorry, say that again. What's connected?
All the oceans of the world
are connected by a giant loop.
By a giant loop that kind of goes into the depths of the ocean and up top, and it circulates water throughout all the oceans of the planet. Yeah.
Cool. And that's separate to this like surface thing we're talking about.
It's not separate. Rather, it is the mechanism by which it is a mechanism. It is a mechanism that influences the surface currents. But there is a difference between surface currents and this kind of like deep underlying circulation that's going on. Yeah.
Cool. Yep.
Now, if this were science, you would say that you must understand this global ocean circulation to be able to say anything about surface currents. Even though surface currents are wind driven, everything's tied up. But in terms of fantasy maps, it is completely pointless to try and map out a thermohaline loop or a global ocean conveyor belt because what determines the shape of it and the route it takes is basically the sea floor and seafloor topography and what shapes are down there. And unless you want to map out your sea floor and then study how deep water would go around these underwater landforms, it's kind of arbitrary where you place that loop. So there's no point even talking about it. So I advocated for just forgetting about it and just dealing with surface currents. You get like 99% of the realism for like 10% of the work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And any of the tutorials, if anyone's looked into this online, you'll see various ocean tutorials, and all of them begin with, "Oh yeah, there's a thing called the global ocean conveyor belt. It's basically a big loop. So just draw a big loop through all your oceans, and that's good." And that's all you can say about it, because again, without the knowing what the ocean floor is, you can't say anything about it. And I find it really unsatisfactory to just be like, "I'll just draw a line here," without any sort of reason for doing so. Do you know? So that's why I didn't talk about it.
I want to Google image search that right now.
Do, and then as a little thought experiment, because again, loads of people think like, oh, it's obvious that it would be this. If you look at the actual loop that the Earth has, it's really not obvious that the Earth would form that loop, and particularly where it ducks down into the deep ocean and where it comes back up. You can't just look at a map and simply draw a loop and then say that that is plausible.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's crazy looking thing, isn't it?
Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, and again, something that is
Makes
just
a good roller coaster.
It would make a great roller coaster. But there was another comment that kind of made me wish that I talked about slightly. It was someone was like, how would these ocean currents influence like underwater societies? And I kind of felt like saying the thermohaline circulation would influence them, because that would be kind of like their mega highway. But again, trying to map that with any degree of confidence, just it's not going to happen.
Thermohaline circulation is the same thing as the conveyor belt.
That's why I was using both of them. Yeah, just in case people working with different nomenclature, or at least that's what I've read. Last thing, again, really quickly, because there's not much to talk about this video. It kind of went down fairly well. Is I'm conflicted about whether or not I should bring this up, but I kind of want to rant a little bit, and I will cut this if you deem it to be inappropriate, Bill. Okay.
Yeah.
But that was a strange. Yep.
I was yawning and stretching.
But I got the post of this video taken down on the world building subreddit last night, and it kind of infuriated me, and I'm a little bit like, oh. So I posted, and then a mod messaged me and was like, "Hey, we've had to remove this because you have violated our rules." And let me get up those rules so I know what I'm talking about. Hold on. Yeah, so you violated one of our rules. And in particular, the rule was repost articles and or resources not specifically related to world building need added context, usually a comment. This context should explain how the resource is relevant or useful to world building. This includes your own world building examples or thoughts. This could include your own world building examples or thoughts, and should encourage world building specific discussion. And I kind of felt really miffed, because I was like, man, what about a video, like a tutorial, a video that is marked in the title, tutorial, ocean currents, terrestrial water world, and tidally locked planets, is not specifically related to world building, and doesn't inspire world building conversation. And I was kind of like, man, world building subreddit, you're killing me here. Like, I love you guys, and I totally get why this rule is here, to stop people spamming their work and just saying nothing about it. But surely, if a thing is marked as a tutorial, everyone understands that it's a video instructing them how to construct a certain part of your world. Like, so I don't know. It rubbed me up the wrong way, and I don't want to be like mean about it or whatever. But and I probably will repost with just something in for context. But I kind of felt like this is unnecessary. It's like, I don't know, giving someone a academic textbook and then them saying, I don't know what to do with this, I need context, and you having to write a little thing being all like, this is a book that would help you get better at the thing the book says. And I feel like it's the I was like really frustrated. Very frustrated. So I just had to rant, Bill. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah. So what do you think? Fair? Not fair?
I don't know how they mod there. I don't post there that often. I've had to add stuff for context before, stuff that I've posted. I think it was to stop it from being removed, or maybe it was to get it unremoved. That was a while ago. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me, I see what you're saying. It seems to me like it would be pretty clear why it is world building relevant. But maybe just there's a blanket rule that everyone needs to have a comment. Maybe it's a new blanket rule or something.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't message the mods, because I didn't want to,
and it says do not reply by comment or personal PMs to moderators. So.
Yeah, but they do also give you a link to say if you were going to, what's it say here? Hold on. Questions or concerns, you can mod mail us here.
Oh, okay.
So they do give you an outlet to write to them and like to dispute it or whatever. But I didn't want to dispute it because, like you said, I think you just put in a comment and it'll be fine. And I do get the utility of it, because again, there was a period like maybe a year ago or so where people were just putting their own work, like a picture of something from their world, and just putting it there without anything, and then and then people are like, "That's a wonderful picture, but like, what's going on here?" So if it is a blanket rule, that's fine. It's just the wording of it like rubbed me up the wrong way, because I was like, I agree entirely with this rule, but I also disagree strongly that I have broken this rule, because of course it's world building. Like, my whole channel is world. It's the only thing I do. I do nothing else. So anyhow, I just wanted to rant. Thanks for listening to me, man.
Not at all.
Okay, now will we crack into some green room? Unless you have something to add about the video or anything that you want me to clarify.
There is something I'd like you to clarify.
Okay. What you got for me?
What on earth was that thing about the spaceship shaped ocean? What?
What do you mean, what?
What was that about? That made no sense to me whatsoever.
Okay, that's fair. In order for it to make full sense, you should read the link in the description, which links to the paper which I got that from. But models have shown, and again, you can read the paper, that if you set up a tidally locked water world, and just let it go in your simulation, what will happen is you have literally this spaceship-sized ocean where you have these two gyres at the top, and then a big eastward flow that flows into the night side, and you have ice on the day side encasing this, and then ice on the night side as well. That's the form that it took in the models, fairly reliably as well. Why that's the case, I don't know. I'm not a physicist, but yeah, that's what they found.
That's mental.
I mean, it is a bit, yeah. But yeah, that's what it is, at least according to this one paper. And this one paper was cross-cited numerous times, so I felt like it wasn't just, the ramblings of some crazy person. It was a thing that cropped up an awful lot. So that's what it is, man. But specifically, if it's a water world. Again, I said in the video that
what do you mean? What does that mean by a water world now?
So
it's entirely covered in water.
Yeah. So the initial conditions of the model are that it's entirely covered in a uniform layer of it's entirely covered in water, and that the ocean floor is uniform, which has a bearing on how things go. So one could say that it is perhaps overly simplified, and maybe if we were to actually find these things in nature, it would be a bit different. But that's what I've got to go on, which is that thing. So yeah, a uniform layer of water, and then you lock that to a star, and you set the thing going, and you see what happens, and the day and night side freezes, but you get this spaceship-looking ocean that traverses both sides.
The rest of it is ice, but there's this spaceship-shaped area of surface liquid.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, was that unclear in the video that everything was ice?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Hold on, I'm going to watch it again, because maybe it's me. Hold on, I'm going to play it here now. It will be out loud. You might want to cut this.
Okay, we'll do.
Not the actual continents. If we were to tidally lock our water world, we'd end up with a sort of spaceship-looking ocean encased in ice with two big gyres in every hemisphere. Once we introduce continents, the same rules from earlier apply. Split the flow on a continental shelf.
When you said encased in ice, I thought it meant that it would be under ice.
Oh.
And then I was really confused about what. Then I got distracted and confused about why it was spaceship shaped, and there was no further context.
So, assuming that I cut that part for the listeners, I said that the ocean was encased in ice in the video, and as Bill just said there, you were confused because encased in ice meant that it was covered in ice, whereas I meant kind of like ice wraps entirely around it.
Surrounded by ice.
Surrounded by ice would have been better wording. Thanks, Bill. But does that make sense?
I think so. And does it stay liquid underneath that surface ice elsewhere? And what determines? I suppose it's the direction it flows in depends on the rotation of the planet. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So just like everything else, the directions will flip if you change the rotation. Does it stay liquid on the other side? My gut is that the middle of the night side is so incredibly cold that it just freezes the whole way down.
Yeah.
That's what I would think. I don't know if it would remain liquid underneath the ice on the day side. I don't know. This is not a thing that was mentioned in the paper.
That's bizarre. That like obviously the very center of the day side there is liquid, but so close to the center of the day side is ice. That's really bizarre.
Yeah, it was brought up in the paper as well. It was like explicitly mentioned
cool.
that yes, the ice will creep down. So what you usually find is the spaceship thing is my way of calling it, but you usually find in the literature a lobster planets because it looks like a little lobster. So it was they made sure to explain that you don't get a thing called an eyeball Earth, which is like liquid day side, frozen night side, so it looks like an eyeball. You don't get that. You get this lobster construction, and they explicitly mention it to make sure everyone knows that you don't get what you expect.
Right.
I'll leave the link to the paper in the show notes so people can go and read it and you can see various things. And for those who are super, super interested, if the parameters of the model were changed on different runs and they produce slightly different results, so you can go check it out and read up a little bit more about that if you want to go super nerdy on it. But yeah, so does that make sense?
I think it does now. Thank you.
Cool, no problems. All right, anything else, or should we do some green room? Please,
Let's do some green room.
I'm so excited about the green room. Okay, let's stop and save. Bill, I cannot tell you how excited I am about this green room.
You can't.
I can't put into words how excited I am. I have stuff in front of me. I'm going to shake in front of the mic. I have this, and then I have this, and then I have these. I'm so excited. Welcome, Bill, and everyone else, to the first installment of the Bank of Artifexian, where we discuss the various items of money that have been sent to me from around the world by the wonderful people.
Oh, no way! We got some.
We got loads. I say loads. We got 4.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, hold on. I'm gonna get out my little contribution here.
Oh, you have a contribution to the Bank of Artifexia?
Well, no, like you gave it to me.
You're going to take out the $1
The Napoleon dollar.
The Bill Napoleon dollar. Okay, so here we go. Okay, pick a number between 1 and 3. I have 3 senders in front of me. Pick a number between 1 and 3.
2.6.
2.6. So we'll round that to 3. All right. So this contribution comes from Mr. Clockwork Door, who kindly donated a lot of money, too much money to be fair, to the Bank of Artifexia. He donated 10 sterling and 100 Thai baht, which is epic. Now, the thing I want to bring up here is sterling. Sterling has see-through parts in it. Did you know this?
Well, some of it does, but the thing about sterling is that there isn't there not a single central bank? Different banks can issue their own notes.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Hold on. If I send you this picture, will you have a look at it and see whether or not you've seen it in the wild before? Because this kind of fried my brain when I seen it. It was like it has holes in it, and it's really bizarre.
Yeah, I've seen that before. I think it's just a regular Bank of England one.
I had no idea that there were see-through parts in the note, and that fried my brain. It's class looking.
Yeah, it's
really cool.
That's all right.
Links to there will be pictures in the show notes to all of these notes. So that's the 10 sterling note, and then do you want a picture of the 100 baht note, the 100 Thai baht note?
The 100 Thai baht note, yes, please.
Okay, coming at you. Okay, should be on its way.
Oh, cool.
So it's really cool. Really, really cool. Now, I am extremely grateful to Mr. Clockwork Door, and anyone who's in Ireland, please patronise the Clockwork Door. Links in the show notes. Seriously, he's really, really cool for doing this. But I will say, if people do want to send me notes, please don't send me large denominations. Like, I feel really guilty people giving me large amounts of money. Try and send me the smallest note that you can. I don't know what 100 Thai baht is, but I know, well, at least I assume that there is a smaller English sterling note. So yeah, don't send huge denominations because I feel bad. But there you go. That came from Mr. Clockwork Door. Yeah,
that's very cool. Hold on, I'm gonna convert the Thai baht. What will we convert it into?
I think we're gonna have to do euro for us, and we're gonna have to do dollars for like everyone else.
100 Thai baht is equivalent to cookie management. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Go away.
Equivalent to cookie management.
Sorry, that's just what came up on the screen. Oh, for God's sake, it's 2.67 euro. No, sorry, 2.64 euro.
2.64 euros. That's going to be like maybe $3.
Let's find out.
So because dollar amount is more. I think it's about $3.
Oh, very good. $3.01097.
Cool. So $3. It's interesting.
And in sterling, it's 2.3.
2.3. That's 100 Thai baht in sterling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that was from Mr. Clockwork Door. Thank you, Mr. Clockwork Door. Again, links in the show notes. Now pick a number between 1 and 2, Will.
Between 1 and 2.
Oh, I see. I know what you're doing here. You've heard the word between. You're like, well, it has to be decimal point.
No, it doesn't. 1.
Pick an integer between 1 and 2. Pick an integer from the set including 1 and 2. Okay, so number 1. This comes via a Surin from Germany. I won't be any more specific than that on air. And
it comes from what? Sorry?
It comes from a Surin from Germany.
Oh.
And this person has written us a typewritten note, like on a typewriter.
Oh, wow. Cool.
With bits of handwriting in this. So this person sent a 5 som bill from, wait for it, Kyrgyzstan.
Nice.
Which is insane. So let me take a picture and let me send it to you. Okay, so I just sent it to you there.
Okay.
So it is a 5 som bill from Kyrgyzstan. And wait till you hear the backstory, man. My mother brought it when she was accompanied on a geoscientific expedition around 8 years ago. This is insane. So I am so appreciative of this, and I'm so happy. But I do again need to implore people, along with not sending me large denominations, please don't send me items that have like importance to your family. I feel like I've taken a bit of the Zurin family history here, and I've hoarded it for myself. But I seriously appreciate this. It's amazing. And the actual note is like, it's weathered with time. So like I hold it and I'm kind of like, this was used by like, I know who used this. This was Zurin's mother. Like, it's so interesting. Zurin goes on to talk lots about typewriters, specifically an AX110, which is great. I don't know anything about typewriters. He also asks whether or not we play card games. Is there any card games that we like? He says Bader Mash Crinkle Dash was the best 5 minutes of his life. And he also implores us never ever to get too mainstream. And for the last point there, I can assure you we'll never get mainstream because this is not a mainstream topic. And also, one last thing about the note is Zurin, being from Germany, and wrote a little bit in German at the end. But if any German listeners want to send me stuff, feel free to write it totally in German. I can read German perfectly. I have trouble speaking German fluently, but feel free to write in your native language. It's not a problem for me at all. You don't need to worry about writing in English.
That's nice.
Massive thanks to Surin. Massive thanks to Surin and his
That's cool, yeah.
5 som bill from Kyrgyzstan. Do you want to do some conversions there?
Yeah, it's worth 6.3 cent in euros.
6.3 cent. Wow.
Yeah.
That's mad. And what's that? That's going to be in dollars. It's going to be like 8 cent, and was it in sterling? Will be like 5.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, something of that order. That's madness. All right, so that's okay. Sorry, go on.
I wonder who that is on the 5 som note. Let's see here. Does it say? Can I find out on Wikipedia?
And bear in mind, it was from 8 years ago, so it may even be a note that's no longer in circulation.
Oh yeah, no, it's from the 1994 series.
See, like that is just class. Like the fact, the idea that like that has been sent to me is just extraordinary, and I'm so grateful.
Oh, it's she's the first great Kyrgyz ballerina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, her name's Bubusara. Bubusara Beshel.
Bill butchering the Kyrgyzstan language. Or I wonder what did he speak?
I should just read the Latin. Beshenelieva. Bubusara Beshenelieva.
In Kyrgyzstan, would they speak Russian? Is there a Kyrgyzstani language?
They speak Kyrgyz, I guess.
Oh, that's a thing.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I've never looked into it. Another note coming at your way, because I don't need to ask you for your preference. We have one remaining. And this comes from, let me get a name here so I can name check this person.
Well, I recognise some of it anyway.
You recognise some of it?
Yeah. I know what country it's from.
Oh, the banknote.
I think so.
This new banknote. Good, because I'm fairly confident, but I'm not entirely sure. This comes from Lucas, and Lucas is from France. And I won't put this in show notes because it's a letter to like me and by extension us. So I'm not going to make a public consumption. But the implication of this letter is that I think he has depicted you, Bill, on a horseback, and using the Artifexian podcast as a means of fighting off communism. It's a very funny note, so I'll send it to you afterwards. It's really cool. So he is, I'm assuming...
Inaccurate.
It's inaccurate, but you don't own a horse.
I wouldn't be fighting off communism, really, would I?
Well, that's fair. That is fair. But I'll send you the note and you can make a judgment call exactly what you think about it. And so I'm assuming this is... the note I've just sent you is a Chinese note, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So Lucas has sent a Chinese one... Oh, is it yuan? Did they use yuan? Is that the currency? I think that's the currency.
I think so.
One yuan note, and I believe is that Mao on the front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, I'm saying here it's called renminbi. They use a Y symbol for it, but hold on. Use of the currency. Hectically Googling Wikipediaing.
I mean, you don't need to hectically do it. I can edit. It's fine.
Yeah, so the renminbi is the official currency. The yuan is the basic unit of the renminbi, but it's also used to refer to the Chinese currency generally.
Oh,
so
interesting.
The distinction between renminbi and yuan is similar to the distinction between sterling and pound.
Okay.
So the renminbi is the currency in general, and the yuan is the unit. Okay, so it's a 1 yuan note.
So 1 yuan note. So we got some conversions going on there.
We do not.
What
yet?
Yet? Wow, I'm getting $0.14 US.
And I'm getting 12 cent, 12.6 cent.
12.6 cents. So that's like 10 cent. Yeah, 14 cent US dollars, 12 and change euro, and so about maybe 10 sterling then, roughly. So yeah, so that's all the things I've received.
11 pence.
I also want to give a shout out to the captain's father, who gave me some Norwegian money. Unfortunately, it's coins, and like we established in the last show, I'm going for a notes collection. But I do possess some krona now, which is interesting.
Cool.
So yeah, those are the things that received. So again, we have Lucas from France who sent Chinese yuan. And thank you very much. We had Søren from Germany who sent the Kyrgyzstani money, and we had Mr. Clockwork Door of Clockwork Door fame who sent the Thai baht and the sterling. Thank you so much. I'm so happy about this. Now, I want to request a further request on this. I now have at least one bill from all the continents, excluding, and I know someone's going to be like, it depends on how you define continent. I know. It's okay. But excluding Oceania, right? If anyone lives in Oceania, and then Australia, New Zealand, the islands, and things like that. If you could send me the lowest denomination bill possible, that would be epic, and I will already have a somewhat complete collection then, and it's just a matter of filling out the numbers after that. That would be so cool if you could do it, and I genuinely really appreciate this, because I appreciate that it costs money to ship overseas, even if it's something as light as a note. And I really appreciate it. It's really great, and thanks so much for your letters as well. It is awesome having this and being able to hold these items. It's class.
So you've got. So obviously you've got a bunch of European stuff there. You've got sterling, and you natively have euros anyway.
I do.
You have 2 Asian currencies there. You have the yuan and the som, and you have some money from when you went to Korea and Indonesia, right?
I don't have any Korean money anymore.
You don't have any Korean money?
No, and I don't have any Indonesian money either.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, I know. I only started this like 2 months ago. It's unfortunate. I have the Moroccan dirham.
Yeah.
I'm about to go back to the States, so I'm going to get some dollars. I'll have that. I won't have anything. You're going to Brazil next year.
I'm going to Argentina and Brazil, yeah.
So if you want to pick me up some local currency, that would complete South America for me. That would be awesome.
Maybe.
That would be great, Bill. Thanks. And I have nothing from Oceania.
Okay.
So yeah, this is great. I love it. Thank you so much. Please, please, please do send me more stuff. And do you know what? Like, even if you don't want to send me money or whatever, like, just send notes in the mail. Like, it's a joy getting them. It's really cool, and it's class. Like, opening up the post box and being all like, "Oh my god, it's an address pal thing. That means it's an Artifexian related thing," and it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's it's such a joy to get stuff by physical post these days. So rare.
Totally.
We never answered Soren's question though about card games.
Oh, card games, yes. Joe, pass it off to you.
I don't game as much as I would like in any medium or any modality. I have played card games I've enjoyed in the past. Citadels was quite fun. Did you play that in York with me one time, Edgar?
Hang on now. How are we defining card game here? Like, I know a card game is any game played with cards, but are we going with the traditional, like, 52 card deck game, or are we...
Oh, no, I was assuming, like, any kind of card game, like, including trading card games and...
Oh, okay. Well, I think we should delineate. I think it should be 2 categories. One of standard card games and one of, like, trading card games. Yeah?
Okay.
So do you play any standard card games?
Almost never, no. We used to play a lot of Kaluki when we were in college. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. It brings back fond memories.
That's a really good game.
I believe, okay, for people who are card game enthusiasts, Kaluki, I don't know if that's a known term. It could be a localism. I believe Kaluki was a variant on Gin Rummy.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, just for anyone who needs that. So was that the only one? Like, you don't play any other ones?
I never really got into poker. That's it, really. Yeah.
Okay. And then, in terms of non-standard card games, you mentioned Citadels. I don't know Citadels.
I thought we played that. That's quite fun. It's just quite simple. Like there's not that many cards, but it's very kind of tactical.
Okay.
What else? I never got into like any other kind of like big games, Magic or there was a Song of Ice and Fire card game a while ago that was meant to be very, very good.
Oh,
I don't know if it still exists.
Interesting.
Never got into the Pokemon card games. Never got into Pokemon generally. So no, that would be it really. I'm not a huge card games guy.
So for me, I don't really. I know. I would say I know a lot of standard card games, including. Did you ever play 25s, man? Did that thing that
25s? No.
All right, so 25s is a very Irish card game, and it is just bonkers. Like, it completely breaks the rules of what the deck is. Like, one of the things, and it's the mechanics are weird, but like one of the things is the 5 of spades is the most powerful card in the deck, and there's loads of weird rules. And anytime I've tried to show 25s to anyone who doesn't at least vaguely know it, they're always like, "What? You're making this crap up? Like, what is this?" There's that game. There's a whole lot of other ones. But poker, I really liked playing poker back in the day.
I remember you were really into that when you were in college.
Yeah, and I used to gamble always. I hate the word gamble because it seems like you're throwing your money away, but it was more like, it was entertainment for me, So I used to do it online, and I gambled. I played one tournament in a casino in a town called Sligo, and then I used to go to another casino as well. So I kind of played semi serious, I suppose. I really enjoyed it. In terms of non-standard card games, Magic the Gathering. I have recently started it again. I think I spoke about this on the last show. And the captain seems fairly okay with playing Magic with me, so I'm gonna keep building on the collection somewhat. Pokemon, the little bit I played of Pokemon, the mechanics seemed crap. I wasn't interested in it. Outside of that, not really. I believe there's a Settlers of Catan card game that's meant to be very good. I think it's Settlers for two, like how to play with two people. It's a card game.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's poker and Magic the Gathering are kind of my card game vices, so to speak.
Cool.
Bullshit.
We forgot bullshit.
Bullshit. Yeah. What's bullshit? That's like... bullshit be a go fish variant? Bullshit is...
I have no idea.
Okay, hang on. See, again, because everyone always... There's no kind of like one universal term for all these games. Yeah, Google's telling me it's also called I doubt it. It's also called cheat, apparently.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, so like there's a whole load of names. I'll leave a link in the show notes to these things. But yeah, bullshit was good. Yeah, I think the main problem with standard card games for me is the fact that it's non-expandable. Like the cool thing about Magic is you can buy more sets, and there's an extra added element, like an extra added world building element, and sometimes even a conlang element beyond just these are cards.
Yeah.
So cards are really only like, are we bored? Sure, we'll play a 5-minute game. Whereas, yeah, the trading cards take on a larger role for me.
I like the limited nature of the standard deck games.
Yeah, there is a part of me with
it's complete. It's together. It's complete. It's a unit.
Every time there's a new set of Magic the Gathering, I'm always kind of like, if I price up all these cards, how much would it cost me to buy them all so I can complete this set? And I'm always really disappointed. I'm like, I can't do that. So you have to. I don't know why my brain is okay with not being a completionist with Magic the Gathering, but it is. Whereas yeah, like a standard set, it's complete. It is a closed set. It is bounded. Yeah. Anyhow, so I hope that answers your questions, Aaron. Do you have anything else to add, Bill, or will we call it? Will we call it there?
No, I have nothing to add in the green room.
Cool. All right. So as always, thank you so much, listeners, for listening. Thanks to the patrons for supporting the show. Bill, thanks for talking to me.
My pleasure.
And I will see everyone. We will see everyone next month. Yeah.
See you very soon.
Edgar out.